Are you an experimenter or an imprinter? Hi guys, this video is the second half of the video, are you a predictor or an ideator? Apparently I pronounced that wrong last time, whoops. So I'd suggest seeing that first if you haven't. We type a lot of people through our service, and some people have been initially mystified by their perceiving axis. Time and time again, we hear people say, but I'm sometimes clumsy, so there's no way I use SE, right? Or, I have a bunch of memories. That must mean I use SI, right? So then we realize the problem is the simplified function descriptions. Over time, they just become associated with universal biological processes that we all have. SE is associated with sensing stuff, having neurotransmitters, which we all do, and SI is associated with memories, but we all form memories. So let's remember again that, like intuition, sensing processes are cognitive processes. It's how we perceive, intake, store, and organize information. I like to call SE users experimenters and SI users imprinters. So if you're an NJ, you're a baby experimenter, and if you're an NP, you're a baby imprinter. In the complementary video, we talked about the point of internalization, SE at the intuitive level and SI at the sensory level. SE itself can be said to have a more visceral experience of reality, taking in the gloriously uneven external world in the here and now. It soaks up the richness of the present moment, and the present is ever-changing, so SE itself doesn't really retain anything. I know Dave says SE and NE are gathering, and it's kind of like they're gathering, but with a broken basket. Extroverted perception does seek to experience all that it can, but the experiences just spill out as soon as they're gathered. The storage is basically broken, or rather, the information is transmuted and then stored. The perceived patterns, mini-patterns, trends, predictions, gut feelings, intuitive inklings, inexplicable knowings, those are what's stored by the SE user. And if the NI is high, these things overlap and build upon each other, creating ever more generalized patterns and big-picture explanations. If the NI is low, then the inner nebulosity tends to be a little more simplified, or black and white. You know, sometimes experimenters will cling on to one doom and gloom prediction and kind of freak themselves out a little. When thinking about the SE user, we can imagine a keen experimenter, eager to see how things will unfold. They welcome new information and are generally unfazed by the sensorially unexpected. In a sense, they were always ready and waiting for that to happen. They need a great deal of contextual information and repeat instances to form the predictions. This naturally correlates with wanting to experience things firsthand in order to extract the NI meaning out of it. There's also a correlation to aesthetics and physical prowess, but as with most behavioral manifestations, it's only a correlation and certainly not exclusive to high SE users. One thing that's always reliable, though, is that experimenters make more concrete connections between objects and experiences. This is because the sensory is not internalized to be pulled back subjectively later. There is no template from the past, no internal structure for the vivid present to fit into. Thus, things retain their raw form with all their irregular features. In other words, there's no bias baggage attached to sensory information. The object, experienced along with other objects, are grouped into NI conceptual umbrellas, not rigorously classified under sensory categories. So when you talk to them, they tend to stay on topic, the NI topic, and list some SE observations, sensory observations that are all concretely linked to the topic. We can think of the high SE user as the field experimenter, lying in wait for something exciting to happen, expecting to measure objects and phenomenon as they are, their concrete characteristics, taking care not to inject their bias baggage. Then we might think of the high NI user as a predictor, sitting in his lab and developing a working hypothesis after seeing a couple of events unfold. The predictor has more stakes, if you will. They're relying on the world to play out according to their visions. This is why, famously, high NI users sometimes get overwhelmed by sensory information and may even try to block it out. Okay, moving on to the imprinters, who are a completely different animal. It's sensory bias baggage galore. Instead of experiencing the sensory world with no bias, they experience the conceptual world in the external here and now with no bias. How is this possible? Well, they automatically entertain any concepts that are floating around and any concepts they're thinking about in the present. They don't really discount ideas except with their judging processes. Concepts don't overlap and connect to each other in an internal structure, getting closer to the truth. No, they're entertained for the heck of it. So they often don't experience any ideas as contradictory except once again through their judging processes, which might realize an idea is unsuitable for themselves or for the world, but they don't inherently perceive ideas with any bias. What does get an internal structure are the sensory elements. Each object and experience creates an imprint or impression in the SI user, and over time, the imprints overlap so much that they create a mold, an expected or model version of the object. A bunny is no longer just a bunny that is seen in the here and now, but every subjective impression of a rabbit has been stored into a file cabinet labeled bunny. Inside of it, you'll find a kaleidoscopic array of qualities ranging from Jessica Rabbit to Usagi depending on the person, and these qualities have their own associations. For example, Jessica's dress is red, and red has its own file cabinet. So in that sense, every sensory thing is subjectively linked. This is why when you talk to imprinters, they tend to bring so many fragments of perspectives to a topic. They're not really talking about the thing that's in front of us, but rather reacting to their own inner slideshow. This is also why ideators or NE users tend to get so off topic, because they don't really have those internal concept umbrellas. They're going into a file cabinet, sifting through related documents, though the documents might not seem so related to other people, then immediately generating concepts and grabbing external concepts that are related to the unrelated sensory document. And that's how you go from talking about rabbit ecology one moment, and the theory of magic in the next, and the evolution of magical girls in anime the next. High imprinters, people with high SI, their imprints are organized. It's closer to the file cabinet analogy I discussed, so they can usually nail past experiences with accuracy, recalling the specifics of what happened. They also tend to stay on topic when speaking, though they still tend to bring in several different perspectives depending on their internal structure. Usually, they'll see different facets of the topic and contribute subjective observations and experiences. Perhaps because of a judging process, they may want to argue for a certain position. In that case, they tend to bring in a few different arguments for that position as opposed to one argument with several concrete examples, which would be more characteristic of experimenters and predictors. High ideators, people with high NE, their imprints are more like a hodgepodge, scattered all over the table like a messy professor. It's probably why strong NE seems correlated with a tendency towards cross-contextual thinking. There's less divide between imprints, so they're more likely to freely make associations between them, permeating cabinet walls and concept umbrellas. But since there's no internal conceptual structure, imprinters aren't retaining patterns and predictions. They can follow a conversation about patterns and occasionally see a pattern in the external world, but they're not retaining them. They're too busy retaining sensory information and grouping them into subjectively symbolic categories. If you're still unsure of your type or would like to reconfirm your type, we offer cognitive type assessments on our website, cognitive8.com. We're trying to come up with accurate yet digestible definitions for the processes, so if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and consider supporting this channel on Patreon. We're working on some new and exciting perks for you guys. If any of you are wondering where Alex is, she has decided to take an indefinite leave of absence. Unfortunately, I couldn't get her to deliver a message to you guys. I'll be here though, and will continue to create videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching. Over time, they just become associated with universal biological processes that we all have.
Again. Ready?
Okay.
Breathe in, out.
I'm not relaxed because I was so relaxed, now I'm not relaxed anymore. I forgot how long this was. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so bored. Oh,
Come on, honey.
It's so long. I'm not even halfway
Come on.
through. How is this video so long? What the heck? Oh, it's gonna take forever to find the pictures to go with all of this. We can think of the high SE user. This is so long.
You wrote it. You're continuing?
I guess so. Do you get this? Does it make sense? Does it, like, do you get it when you don't really, like, if you didn't know anything about anything? Well, okay, not anything, like, if you just knew that some people have SI and E and some people have NI and SE, does this video make sense?
So far, yeah.
Good. Because I'm trying to, like, keep it real simple here.